Okay, good morning, everybody. And good morning, David. Good morning. So, the Neitzachama got earlier, no?
6.
So we should do this week. We should do 7:10 from now on. We have to start going down. Okay. Okay, David. So tomorrow it's going to be 7:10. Okay, instead of 7:15. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Hakita yotze v'kav shaloi div Rabbi Meir. Kita is the amputee. He's allowed to go out b'kav shaloi. We're on the bottom of 65b, bottom line by the Mishnah. Daf Samach Hey Amud Bet. Okay. Akitea yotze b'kav shalo. The amputee can go out with his kav. Can go out on Shabbat with his kav. What's a kav? It's like a form. It's a thing made out of wood. And that's where they put their foot into, because they're missing their actual foot. Sorry, so they put their leg into that piece of wood, and that basically hides their wound, the fact that they're missing the foot. It's like a fake shoe, a fake foot.
Peg, I think?
Peg, they call it? Okay. So, how does he travel around? He has these crutches. Okay? Fine. So it says here that he's allowed to use this kav on Shabbat. He's allowed to travel with it. It's not considered carrying. Okay? Now, it's not considered a masa, it's rather considered a shoe. Divrei Rabbi Meir. Okay, now normally shoes were not made out of wood, they were made out of leather. But Rabbi Meir holds, since it protects the foot, it's also this wooden shoe, it's also called a shoe. And therefore, it's not a masa, it's a shoe, and a shoe is clothing, and that's it, and you're allowed to carry it on Shabbat. That's what Meir says. Rabbi Yossi Oser. Rabbi Yossi says nothing to do it. A shoe is not made out of wood. A shoe is made out of leather, and people don't make shoes out of wood, and therefore it's a masa, it's a weight, you're not allowed to carry it. Now, what do you mean? It's a tachshit. There's a lot of things that are not made out of leather, they're not my shoes, but they're a tachshit, they're an ornament. It's ornamental, this thing. So he says that it's not an ornament. Why? Because most people don't use it, and even though anything that you need, remember we said last Mishnah, we said if a person needs for a bad breath, he has something, he needs it, that's all tachshit, and that's all fine. Here he says this kav is not going to be included in that heta because you don't really need it to travel. What you use to travel is your crutches. You're just trying to hide your embarrassment, it's right? He doesn't want to look funny, so he uses that. It's very nice, but it's not a shoe, and it's not a tachshit. It's not needed. It's just you want to take away your embarrassment. I understand, but you can't carry that on Shabbat. That's what Rabbi Yossi says, and that's halacha. Now, there's another law regarding tumah. Wood cannot contract tumah. If we learn it, since it's placed next to the wood sack, and the sack is made to hold things, a sack, so to the wood, kli eitz is only mekabel tumah if it's a keli that's able, it's also lekabel, it's made to receive, it's a receptacle, it's able to hold something. Whereas just, the difference would be, let's say, keli made out of metal, they don't need to hold things. They can be flat. As long as they are a keli, they have function as a utensil, they're mekabel tumah. Whereas kli eitz is not mekabel tumah unless it's a mekabel. It has a receptacle. If it's not, it's called pshutei kli eitz, flat kli eitz. It's not mekabel tumah. So the question is like this: is this shoe mekabel tuma? So it depends. Im yesh lo beit kibul, v'im yesh lo beit kibul ktitin. If it's able to hold these soft little pieces of cloth and clothing that they would place inside some of them, so that when they put the foot in the remainder of the remaining part of the foot, it was soft, tameh, then it's tameh. But if it was flat, the guy put his whatever's left of his foot was just put onto it straight, and it was flat, then it was not mekabel tuma because it doesn't hold anything. So you might say, what do you mean? What do you mean if it's flat, it's not mekabel tuma? Only you had like a little bit of an insert to put the cotton in. He said, what do you mean if it's flat, it's mekabel? It's holding the foot. That's what it holds. It's made to hold, it's holding the foot. The answer is that the foot it's not made to, the foot really
Steps on it every time rather than...
Exactly. Rashi says, "Aval shoko eno mitaltel al gabe hakeli." It's really like just hiding his mum. And what really moves the calf, it's not like, oh, you see, how do I move the liquid in here? By moving the cup. Over there it's the opposite. What moves what? The foot is moving the shoe. So therefore, it would only be considered a real kli'etz that has, it's also the kabel, if it had a little insert that you put the pillows in, the little the cloth in. Okay, smachot shelo. Now, smachot shelo means literally. So, anyways, let's just wrap up the first halacha. Was a machloket of Rabbi Yossi. If a wooden shoe has the halachic status as a masa or not, because it's not, is it considered a shoe or not? And furthermore, there's another halacha that it's not mikabel tuma unless it has an insert that's able to hold things. Okay, next halacha, smachot shelo, tmei midras. These are, let's say a guy is an amputee of both feet. So the way they would walk around was they had this these leather like supports for his legs and his knees, and he would walk around like that. He would just be on his legs, walk around with these things supporting him. So they're tamei midras. What's midras? Midras is a tuma. You know, any utensil is able to be mekabel tuma if something tamei touches it. That's very nice. But tumat midras is something higher than that. The tumat midras is an item, something that is generally made to support a person. So then there's a special chumrah. The chumrah, there's many chumrot to tumat midras, but the main two chumrot as follows. The zav, specifically a zav, if he leans or he supports himself on this item which is made to hold him, has to be made for that, then even if he doesn't touch it, right, with his body, but it's supporting his body, it's mekabel tuma. Okay, that's tumat midras, and not only is it mekabel tuma, but it's mekabel tuma the same level that he is. And even if there's 100 of them, one on top of the other, like 100 chairs. If he sits down on a chair, even though he's not touching the chair, he's wearing pants, right? Touching the pants, since the chair is supporting him and the 100 chairs are underneath, they're all become tumat av. That's tumat midras. Very chamur. So we're saying that these leather, these leather supports are made to hold him up, and therefore they are mekabel tumat midras. V'yotzim behem b'Shabbat. Aha! Here nobody argues. Here you can go out with them on Shabbat because they are a tachshit. They are made for him to be able to walk. He can't walk without them, and therefore everyone agrees that these you can go out with on Shabbat. In the Beit HaMikdash, we know, the Mishnah says, we learned in Brachot, Lo yikanes adam lahar habayit mimaklov manalo. A person is not allowed to enter the har habayit with his shoes or with his walking stick. Right? So is this considered a shoe that you wouldn't be able to walk into Hazara? So the Mishnah says, no, it's not. Okay? Because since they're not placed at the end of your foot where regular shoes are placed, they're there to support the rest of his foot and his knees. It's not a shoe. And therefore, he's allowed to enter. These are not considered real shoes. Okay. But even though they're not considered real shoes, they support the person, so they're tamei midras. And even though they're not considered real shoes, you're allowed to wear them on Shabbat because they're needed to travel. Okay? Then there's another thing. There's a guy that he can't even walk on the remainder of his feet because everything was killed, all of his nerves and everything. So he has to sit in a wheelchair. Now the old wheelchairs, before the wheels, it was a very difficult thing. Basically, he sat in like this wooden thing that was tied to him. Then he had these two little benches that he held on to. And he lifted himself up with the benches. It's very strong. He got used to it. And he, propelled himself forward. And the chair would come with him. Then he would sit down. And he'd continue doing it. It was very hard. So, Kisei, this old chair, not a wheelchair, it's a wooden chair. So, smachot shelo. Now, in those days, when the guy was sitting in the wheelchair, they made some sort of things for the end of his feet as well. Why? Because when he would lift himself up, he would support himself a little bit on the end of his feet. Okay? So you have these supports over there. Tamei midras, they're tamei midras. Because they are made to support his guf. And we said that tamei midras is something that's made to support your guf. Because when he uproots himself from the ground, he leans a bit on his legs. But you can't go out with Shabbat. There's no machloket about this one. The last one we said everyone agrees you're allowed to go out with Shabbat. This one we're saying nobody agrees you can go out with Shabbat. Why? Why not? Aren't they needed? The answer is they're needed, but they might fall off. So there's an Isur D'Rabbanan because since they're hanging in the air when he goes up, so we're worried that they can easily fall down, and then he'll lift them up, and then someone will come to pick them up. Either he or somebody else will carry them. And these you cannot go into the Azara because they put them around the foot. They're considered a shoe. Okay? Lokitmin are masks. They're like funny masks made to scare kids. We'll see soon later in the Gemara. Tehorin ve'en yotzim behen. These are totally tahor, and you can't carry them on Shabbat. Why they're tahor? Because they don't serve any purpose. They're not ornament. They don't serve you. They just have an effect. The effect is it scares a kid or whatever, some sort of funny mask. But it's not a keli. If it's not mekabel tumah, ve'en yotzim behen, you can't wear them on Shabbat in Rishut Rabim. Why not? Because they're considered a masa.
Today's masks, you would be allowed to, no problem.
Today's masks? Why? Oh, today's mask. You mean, I thought you meant like today's days kid mask. Oh, so these masks, yeah. Chayra. Chayra. Yeah. Seemingly. That's it, I think, yeah. So these are considered a masa. By the way, if you do carry them, Mishabru says now that if you wear the funny masks, so you're not chayav chatat because it's a very weird way. Now you say, why is that weird? That's the way we wear them. Not sure. It's not the derech haitzah, he says. That is the way you carry them. I don't know. I have to look at that Mishnah. Okay. Amalei Rava the Rav Nachman. Rava told Rav Nachman. Hechi Tinan. Amalei Leodana. Hilchot Tamai. Amalei Leodana. He basically, Rava said to Rav Nachman, is our Mishnah start off with Rabbi Meir saying the way we have it, that the Kiteya could go out with the amputee could go out with that fake shoe, because the Meir feels that is a shoe. And Rabbi Yossi says, no, it's not a shoe, it's not made out of leather, and you can't carry it. Or is it the opposite? The Meir says you can't, and Rabbi Yossi says, the Mishnah says, Eina Kiteya Yotze B'Kafshel. Div Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yossi Matir. Which way, he didn't know which way, the right text. I guess it wasn't clear. So Rava told him, so Rav Nachman told Rava, I don't know. So then he told him, Hilchot Tamai, what's the halacha? Because the halacha always follows Rabbi Yossi over Rabbi Meir. So the question is, so then what do I do halacha if you don't know? So he said, Lo Yadan, I don't know. Because I don't know what to do, so I don't know. Itmar Omar Shmuel, so it was stated, Shmuel said, Eina Kiteh, V'chein Amar Rav, Eina Kiteh. Which means the Mishnah starts not like the way we have it in our Mishnah. It says, Eina Kiteh Yotze B'Kafshel, Div Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yossi Matir. Okay? It's the opposite. And that's what Shmuel said. That is the right text. Not the way we have it in our Mishnah. And therefore it would come out that Rabbi Yossi is saying it's mutar, so it would be mutar. Omer Rabbi Yosef, Hoil v'Omer Shmuel Eina Kiteh, v'Omer Rav Huna Eina Kiteh, Ananami Eina Kiteh. Rabbi Yosef says, look, Rav Huna and Shmuel, the early ones, they said that that's the girsa. So we're also going to read the Mishnah that way, and now that will be the halacha. I mean, it makes a big difference in the halacha. Matkif Rava bar Shira. Rava bar Shira asked Rav Yosef, Lo shmilu hu de matni le Rav Chana bar Rav lechia bar Rav kamei de Rav b'kitoyne de Rav. Haven't you heard this braita that Rav Chana bar Rava taught Chiyah bar Rav in the front of Rav? He taught not a braita. He taught Chiyah bar Rav in front of Rav b'kitoyne de Rav in the small room of the Beit Midrash of Rav. And he taught him, Rav Chana bar Rav was teaching Chiyah bar Rav, and Rav was sitting there. Eina Kiteh Yotze B'Kafshel, Div Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yossi Matir. That the amputee cannot go out, and Rabbi Yossi Matir. Which is the way Shmuel and Rav Huna had it. Umachveli Rav, and Rav showed them Epoch. He signaled to them the opposite. Turn it around. Omar Rav Nachman. So you see clearly, why is Rabbi Yosef so excited about Shmuel and Rav Huna's Girsa? If you see clearly that Rav knew about that Girsa, and he said not to do that. And Omer Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok, V'simono, if you wanted a simon to remember the Girsa of Rav, the Girsa, so the simon is Smach Smach. What's the Girsa of Smach Smach? Two samachs together, samach samach. Because Rabbi Yossi has a samach in it, and the word, what's the next word that he says? Oser has a samach. Rav Yossi Oser. I just made it. I don't know if he included that. Rav holds that Rav Yossi Oser, but Yossi Oser for sure has two samachs. So how do you remember what Rav held? Rav Yossi Oser. I'm not sure if that Rav part was included in what he meant. Maybe he's saying if you want to remember Rav, because I guess that's the halacha, remember Samach Samach, Rabbi Yossi Oser. That's the sugya. Okay? And it's funny, we're on page 66, yeah? Fine. And Samach is interchangeable with 60, 66, right? 66, 60, 60. And Samach is also interchangeable with sin. So it's sus, rejoice. Rejoice this pshat. It's actually brought down from the Chayzer from Lublin. I saw that that he was always careful to learn a piece of Gemara with the head of Nachman Bar Yitzchak before he prayed in the morning. And he said that his Satan is very much didn't want him to learn a piece of Nachman Bar Yitzchak. It's a big school for prayer. To learn a piece of Gemara with Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. It's a Chassidish school from the Chayzer from Lublin, if you want to know. So here's Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. Says the Gemara, V'af Shmuel Hadabei, and even Shmuel retracted. You think it's only Rav, but Shmuel and Rav Huna still argued. But the Gemara is going to show that everybody on the other side came back to this side. V'af Shmuel Hadabei, the Tanan. There's a Mishnah in Yevamot that deals with the laws of Chalitza. You know, Chalitza is when a woman lost her husband, her brother-in-law, her husband's brother, marries her. That's called the mitzvah of Yibum. If he doesn't want to marry her, right? If her husband died without having any children from her, so there's a mitzvah to marry her. If he doesn't want to marry her, she is still not permitted to marry any one of her choice, unless she is released from the ties and the bond that she has with the brother-in-law, which is called, he's called the Yavam and she's called the Yavama. So what he has to do to release her is this act called Chalitza, release. And the Torah says he has to put on a special leather shoe with straps. She unties it, she spits on the floor, she says he doesn't want to take me in front of the Beit Din, and then she is free. And he says, I don't want to take her, and then she's free to marry whoever she chooses. The halacha of chalitza, there's many details, like every mitzvah. And the Mishnah there says, Chaltza b'sandal she'ena shelo. If she did this act of chalitza with a shoe that didn't belong to him, or with b'sandal shel etz, that's very important for us, or with a sandal made out of wood, which is not normal, or small biyamin, or it belonged to the left foot and he put it on his right foot. All these cases might not be the best, but chalitza kshera. But nonetheless, it works. The Amrinon man Tana, and we asked, who is the Tana of this Mishnah that says that a wooden shoe is considered a shoe and therefore it's kasher for chalitza? Because the Torah clearly says shoe in the Torah. Okay? V'chaltza na'alo, the Torah says. And this Tana is allowing that to be called na'alo, a shoe. And Amar Shmuel, Rabbi Meir, the Tanana Kitei Yotze B'Kav Shalom, Divrei Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yossi Yosef. He quotes our Mishnah in the way that Rav quoted it. That Rabbi Meir says it's considered a shoe. Aha! So there we have it. Shmuel retracted. The Af Rav Huna Hodabe. And even Rav Huna retracted from what he said before. The Tanya sandal shel sayadin tomei midros. The shoe of sayadin, those who work with plaster, and this plaster was able to really ruin and burn the leather on your shoe and ruin it. So while they worked with the plaster, they would wear a special shoe made out of like straw. So tamei midras, if this guy wearing them is a zav, he has tumat zav, now he's being supported by those shoes, okay? And he walks around in those shoes. Therefore, since they support him, so now they become tamei midras. A woman could do chalitza, it's considered a shoe. And you could also go out into the street on Shabbat because you're wearing a shoe. It's a real shoe. Now, this shoe is not made out of leather. It's made out of straw. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. The lo hodulo. But the Chachamim did not agree. They said, okay, so what do we see here? We don't see anything here. We don't see anything about Rabbi Yossi and a Meir. So what do we see that Rav Huna retracted? How do you see anything? So the answer is you don't see anything yet. That's step number one. Now the Vilna Gaon changes it to v'hatanan, but there's another Mishnah. There's a problem because there's a Mishnah in Idiot. In Idiot is another masechet that says hodulo. That actually the Chachamim agreed with Rabbi Akiva. So make up your mind. Okay, there's a Braita that says they didn't agree with him. Another Braita that says that they were moded to him. The Omer Rav Huna. So Omer Rav Huna. Rav Huna said, I'll tell you. Man hodulo, the Mishnah in idiot that says that they agreed, that's Rabbi Meir. Uman lo hodulo, Rabbi Yossi. Now where did he get these two names from? He's saying there's different chachamim. Some admitted and agreed with Rabbi Akiva and some didn't. So who agreed with him? Rabbi Meir. Who didn't? Rabbi Yossi. Where'd you pick up these names from? From this Mishnah. Because Rabbi Meir holds that a wooden shoe is considered a shoe. And Rabbi Yossi doesn't. Aha! So you came to our side now. Rav Huna retracted. And he reads the Mishnah the way we have it. Okay. So Baruch Hashem now, there's absolutely no machloket samach. It's Rabbi Yossi Oser. And Beseder. So the Gemara says like this. Rabbi Yosef Omar. Man loy hoidu loy. Rabbi Yosef has another pshat. You know who didn't agree with Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. The Tanan, because there's a Mishnah in Kalim, in the 17th perek, that says, Kaverech. The Vilna Gaon changes to Machsteles Hakash, Ushvoiferes Hakash. Mats, or a little basket, made like a tube, that are made from straw. Rabbi Akiva mitame. Rabbi Akiva says they're tomei. Why? Because they have the status of kli eitz. The Torah says kli eitz is tamei. But Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri mitaher. He says they're not mekabel tuma. Why not? Because he says that kli kash is not kli eitz. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri mitaher. So therefore, according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, even the sandals of the Seyadim that are made from kash, they're not mekabel tuma, because that's not even kli eitz. If they would be considered wood, maybe, but right, because wooden shoes maybe have mekabel tuma, because like Rabbi Meir. Yeah, but yeah. By the way, I just want to clarify one little detail which I don't think I made clear. According to Rabbi Yossi, that it's not really made into a shoe, right? So at the end of the day, the guy's wearing them as shoes and he's being supported. So why isn't it tamei midras?
He said that it was attached to the hip, and that it wasn't actually, the shoe wasn't carrying him, he was stepping on that.
That's a very good point. But the problem is that that's what Tumas Maga. Tumas Maga means if you touch something, then it has to have. But for Tumas Midros, it just has to be a supportive item. Even if it doesn't have a klei kibul, shute kli eitz is able to be mekabel Tumas Midros. So why would it make sense that the Chachamim that were not moed to Rabbi Akiva was Rabbi Yossi? How would that help? And the answer is, since you don't usually make shoes out of that's not called a shoe, only out of leather, so it's not really called designated for supporting the man and for traveling. Meaning it's weird. It's not called a shoe. So therefore it's not made for that. That's how Rabbi Yossi holds. Now we see over here that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri also holds that they're tahor. Why? Because he says kli kash is not kli eitz. Kli kash is not kli eitz. It's not mekabel tuma. Rashi wants to learn over here that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri is mitaher totally, not tumas midras, but even tumas midras. When he says tahor totally, there are many Rishonim that argue with Rashi over here. Okay, Amar Mar, sandal shoseyadin tamei midras. Okay, so Rabbi Akiva says it's tamei midras. Holavli luche avdi, says the Gemara. even if you want to say Rabbi Akiva holds like Meir, that it's a shoe, it's very nice, but it's not made, the sandals Shasayodin, all they wore them for was so that they protected their shoes. They took their shoes off, but they didn't want their shoes to get damaged. But it's not made really to walk and to support you. So the Gemara says, no, it is. Amar Rav Acha bar Avuda, sheken asayadu mitayil bo ad shemagil lebeso. But he wears them for a little bit to get home. After he gets home, he takes them off and he puts on his regular shoes. But they do have some sort of shoe, properties. Okay. The next part of the Mishnah is a new part. So you could join over here. Beit kibul ktitin tameh. We said if this fake shoe, this peg, like you called it, what?
Peg leg.
Peg leg. Yeah, that's what it's called. This little peg leg has an insert that you could put little pieces of cloth inside. So now it's mikabel. It's not a pshute kli'etz. It's mikabel. Something has a receptacle. So it's mikabel tuma. What type of tuma? Tumat met. And not tumat midras. Now it doesn't mean only tumat met. It means like this. How does this thing become tumat av? Highest level that it can become. Tumat sheret, it also has. But tumat sheret, if the sheret touches it, the sheret is an av, so it will be a rishon. So how does it get av? It gets it from tumat met, says Abaye. Which means if it touches a mate, or is in the same room that a mate is in, then it will get tumat av, but it won't get tumat av through being midras, which means through supporting a zav. Let's say the amputee is a zav. It will not make it tumat midras.
Can we just say we did though before? I think we said on 100 chairs that it's going to make him.
But he's talking about this peg leg. What did you call it?
Yeah.
That won't. Why? Because its main function is not really to walk on, even though at times he does walk on it. It's made to hide his mum, his blemish. And therefore, since it's not made specifically for the main purpose, Rava Omar, Tomei Midros, Af Tomei Midros, it is. Why? Even though it's not made for that, that's not its main function, but sometimes he does support himself on this thing, and therefore that's enough to be considered Tumat Midras. So that's the machloket. Amar Rava Mino Aminalo. Okay? So basically the machloket is, if its main function is not to be supported on, but sometimes it is that enough to be considered something that's there to be Yoshev Elov, like the Torah says, to sit on or not? So Rava says that is. Rava is being machmir, and Abaye says not. Amar Rava Mino Aminalo. How do I know that that's enough? The Tanan Agala Shel Katan. The Mishnah in Beitzah. A baby, a carriage that they make for little kids, so that he could play with the carriage, and they use it for him also. Sometimes Tmeyat Midras, because sometimes he sits in it himself, the kid. So maybe he'll put his dolls in sometimes or something, but sometimes the kid sits inside it himself. So therefore, now, this is not made primarily for that, and yet it's Tamei Midras. So that's Rava's proof that its primary purpose doesn't have to be to support, as long as sometimes it does support. Abaye Omar, Hatam Samech Ilavei, Hachalos Samech Ilavei. Abaye says, no proof. There, the kid, many times, it's made, he's always supporting himself on it. So that's different. But here, only once in a blue moon does the amputee actually use it to support himself. Almost never. And therefore, that's not enough. Okay. How do I know, and where did I prove that if it's not made primarily to support the Zav, it's not Mekabel Tumas Midras, even if once in a while it does? The Tanya, Makel Shazkenim Tahor Miklum. The walking stick, the cane of the Zakenim of old men, is totally Tahor. It can't be Mekabel Tumas Midras either. Okay? Now, why can't it be Mekabel Tumas Midras? because it's not there to support the body of the zaken, and it's not mekabel even tumas maga, because it's made out of wood, and it doesn't have a receptacle in it. So it's a wooden stick, and it's not there to support himself. So even though sometimes he does put his weight on it, his complete weight on the, right? It's really there to balance himself. But even though sometimes he does, it's tahor miklum. So you see clearly, very nice, I understand that it's tahor from tumat maga, from touching it, because it's pshute kliyetz. But tumat midras, it should still be able to be mekabel, since sometimes he supports himself on it. Aha! So what do you see, says Abaye? That although he supports on himself sometimes, that's not enough for tumat midras. It has to be its primary function. V'Rava. So what does Rava answer? Rava says, Hatam l'trute sugyo avida. There, it's made to make sure that he's walking straight. And therefore, his feet shake around and he can't stand up straight. So it gives him some sort of balance and helps him stand up. But he never leans on it. And that's why it's not mekabel tumas midras. But here, by this peg leg for the amputee, lismoch ilavehu davida, it's made to support. V'samech alei. And he does support himself on it. Even though the majority of the time that's not maybe its main purpose. Maybe its main purpose is to hide his blemish, but it is also made in a way that it will support him when he wants to be supported on it. And therefore, that's enough. Now, let's go to the last case in the Mishnah, when he was sitting in that olden day wheelchair, and he had these two benches that he lifted himself up, and he was tied to the chair, so whenever he propelled himself forward, the chair would come with him. So the Mishnah said, Tmei midras, that this the smuchot are Tmei midras, ve'ein yotzim b'Shabbat, ve'ein nichnasim behen be'azara. So the smuchot were these leather supports that they put on the bottom of his feet, because when he would lift himself up, sometimes he would use a little bit of his feet support also. So they're tamei midras. And you can't go out on Shabbat because they could fall off. And you can't enter the Azara because they were considered shoes. And you're not allowed to enter the Azara with a shoe. They're made out of leather, so they're real shoes. Tana kamei de Rabbi Yochanan. Nichnasim behen la'azara. The Chacham that would teach Braitot in front of Rabbi Yochanan actually taught a Braita that argued and said, Nichnasim behen la'azara. Omalei ani shoneh. I teach the Braita Isha choletzet bo. I have a Braita that says that a lady is allowed to use these leather supports at the bottom of this amputee's leg as chalitza. The at amrit nichnasin, and you have a Braita that you're telling me you're allowed to enter the Azara. It's a steer in the Braitot. Is it a shoe or not a shoe? If it's a shoe, then you should be able to walk into the Azara. If it's not a shoe, and that's why you can walk into the Azara, then it shouldn't be used for a chalitza. So it's a steer in the Braitot. So the Gemara says Tani, so Tanei, so therefore Rabbi Yochanan told him, you should teach Einich Nesem Behen Lazara. Like our Mishnah. You have to amend that Braita to read exactly like our Mishnah, that it is a shoe, that's why you can use the for chalitza, and you cannot enter the Azara with it. Okay. The last halacha in the Mishnah was lokitmin. Lokitmin are these silly masks to horin. So the Gemara says they're not mekabel tuma. My lokitmin amra bevo chamroro de akfa. It was like this fake donkey that these jokers would wear on their shoulders, and it looks like the donkey was riding on them. Okay? So, Rava Bar Papa Omar Kshire. Kshire are like very large shoes. When it was very, very muddy, they would walk on them. So that's what they are. And therefore they're tahirin. Rava Bar Avuna Omar Prome. Prome is the pshat that we said, these masks, to scare the kids. Now, Rashi has a kasha on the second pshat. If they're this silly donkey, fine. They're not a keli, they don't serve anything. They have effect. If they're the mask, same thing. But the middle pshat, Rava Bar Papa Omar, kshire. What are these kshire? They have a very muddy area, you walk on these things. So Rashi says, I understand they're tohar from Tumat Maga, because they're pshute kli'etz. They're like big clunks, I don't know what they are. So they don't have a receptacle. But they should be tamei midras, because midras, which is that if the zav supported by them, they are tamei, like the zav, that works even if it does, even if it's pshutekli, it doesn't hold anything, as long as it's supported, and this is made to support. That's Rashi's kasha. Okay, so he wants to know why Rava Bar Papa would say this pshat for the Mishnah that says tehorin. So the Ritva wants to say, I don't know the pshat in there, Ritva. I'll tell you what he says, but I don't understand. He says since they're not shaped like a shoe, even though they're made to be supported, it's not enough. I don't know why. Okay, let's continue now. Next Mishnah. Mishnah Akdosha. Abanim yotzim b'ksharim uvnei melachim b'zugin. The boys, abanim, yotzim b'ksharim. They can go out with knots. Now, what are these knots? The Mishnah doesn't explain. The Gemara is going to say. Okay? Next case. Ubnei melachim. And princes, bizugin. They can go out with bells. Because they wore them for ornaments. And that's fine. V'chol adam, and really anybody could, el shedibru chachamim behoveh. They're a tachshit, they're an ornament. The Chachamim spoke about the present, in the normal present times, who wore those. They were princes. But anybody could wear them. Okay, even a simple person is able to wear them. So the Gemara says, "My ksharim." What does it mean, the ksharim? Amar Ada Mori, Amar Rav Nachman bar Baruch, Amar Rav Ashi bar Ovin, Amar Rav Yehuda. Ada Mori said in the name of Rav Nachman bar Baruch. You don't hear of him that much. Great schut that we have him here. Amar Rav Ashi bar Ovin, Amar Rav Yehuda. Kishure Pua. Kishure Pua is they would take the stalks of this herb called Pua, and they would tie them around people's necks for medicine. So therefore it's like a tachshit for the cholah, and you're allowed to carry them on Shabbat. Okay? And they're like this medicinal marijuana thing. I don't know what. You hang them on your neck, and the herbs and the flowers of that pua are very, very beneficial. They'll probably come back into style soon. Amar Abaya, Amar Li Aim. My mother has told me. Now, Abaya throughout Shas always mentions this mother. This mother wasn't his real mother. It was actually his stepmother. Because his mother died... his father died when his mother was expecting, and then his mother died when he was born. So he was a total orphan. And he was brought up by this meneket, and he always quotes her with different eitzot for medicine throughout Shas. In Shabbat, many times also. So my mother told me, Tlata mokme. There are 3 different types of knots that help sickness. Make sure that the sickness doesn't get worse. Chamisha masu. Okay, 3 of them make sure the sickness doesn't get worse. 5 types of different knots. Masa, they actually heal. And Shiva afilu l'kshofim, Mali. And there are 7 knots that can even work to ward off, witchcraft spells from the witches. So basically, if you make 3 knots, you'll make sure it won't get worse. If you make 5 knots, it will heal it, and if you make 7, it will ward off any spell. Now the Gemara says, Amar Abba Yaakov v'hu. This works only the lechazi leishimsha v'sira, that they don't see the sun and the moon. The lechazi mitra, and this knot that you made out of these things, this pua, never saw the rain. V'loshmir they called barzela, and it never heard. It was never near the sound of iron. Vikal tarnagolta, or the sound of the rooster or the chicken. Vikal nigri, and not the sound of footsteps. Okay, so Omer Nachman Yitzchak Nafal Puta Bevira. So basically, Nafal Puta Bevira, the medicine just fell into the garbage, into the bar, into the pit. How is it possible? It's impossible for these things that you're tying around your neck never to see the sun or the moon, the rain, the iron, the footsteps, or the sound of a rooster. It's basically impossible. It's got to be somewhere. So he says he threw it into there's nothing left. So the Gemara says, Ma'ir Yabonim, Afilu Banot Nami. Now the Gemara asks a kasha on the Mishnah. It says you're allowed to go out with this medicine tied around your neck. Who? The Banim. The boys. The little boys. What about the little girls? Another question is, Ma'ir Ktanim, Afilu Gedolim Nami. Why would it speak about children? Gedolim, it's medicine for Gedolim too. So the Gemara doesn't like this pshat. It says the Gemara, Elamai Ksharim. You know Ksharim means, Ki hoda omer ovim bar huna, omer avchama bar guya, ben sheyesh lo gaguin al aviv. There's a child, he has gaguin. Gaguin means yearnings for his father. It's very hard for him, separation and anxiety. Okay, so his father wants to heal him. This kid is going to get sick from crying so much. Notel ritzuami min al sheyamin. What he does is, he takes a shoelace from his right foot, right shoe, and he ties it on this boy's left hand. That helps. The child doesn't get so sad. Okay? So since this works for the fuah, it's a tachshit. That's why it says boys. So this doesn't work with girls, because boys are more beloved by their father, the Gemara holds, and therefore the girl doesn't cry for the father as much as the boy. And therefore, it doesn't work with adults either, because big boys and adults don't cry for their father, neither do girls. So it's little boys that it's medicinal for, and therefore they can carry this on Shabbat. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok. We have him again. The Simonech Tefillin. Why? Because what do? You take the right hand and you tie it on your left hand. Okay? Bechilufa sakanto. If chas v'shalom a person does the opposite, he takes a shoelace from his left foot, left shoe, and he ties it on the right side of the son. You can endanger the child, because you make him so yearn his father so much that he can actually remain a depressed child for this. Omar Ovin Barune Omar Ravchan Choma Baguya Schufe Kosto Atibure B'Shabsa Shapedomi. Are you allowed to turn over, if a guy has a stomachache on Shabbat, they used to turn over hot cups that were full of steam onto the stomach. And what happened was that it would have like some sort of suction pull, and that effect, some way or other, would, return everything to its normal levels, and the guy would be healed from his stomach pains. So he says you're allowed to do that on Shabbat. Shemen umelach b'Shabbat. A person, listen to this, is allowed to, if a person gets too drunk, how do you make him sober? You're allowed to smear on the palms of his hands and feet this mixture of oil and salt in order to calm his inebriated state down. Okay? So the question is, now, this is not considered a medicine, because you're only making the guy, you're making him from drunk to not drunk. But the case before, the stomach ache, that should be real medicine. And medicine is asur on Shabbat. Some say that that's a dangerous type of stomach ache, which was dangerous to his life. That's what he's saying, therefore you could do it. That's what he's trying to tell you, it's dangerous. Another pshat is that since he's in a lot of pain, so this type of refuah was okay. It was a heter for this refuah. But the Gemara brings a proof that this is the way that you relieve his intoxicated state. You calm it down and he becomes sober. What happened was, when Rav Huna came back from his Rebbe's house, the Rav did this. They did this to Rav when he came back mi Rav Chia. Rav Chia mi Rebbe ki have mi basmi, because when they became inebriated. Okay, now why in the world were they inebriated by the rabbi's house? Because the Rebbe would give them wine so that you should get a little high, so that they were able to learn Torah. Okay, amazing. Unbelievable, to get to the depths of Torah. You never knew this, right? Maisi mishchol milcha. So the Rabbeim would bring salt and oil, mix them, v'shayfiluhu, and then smear them, l'gavayosa didayu v'gavayosa dekarayu, on the palms of their hands and the palms of the feet. The Amir, they would say, ki heicha detzila mishcho. Just like this oil is becoming so clear because of the heat of your body, so too, leitzil chamre deplanya ba'polonisa. Let the wine, which was mishaker, which made Pliny ben Pliny drunk, let it also become lucid and very light, just like the effects that the body's having on the oil. The ilo, and if they didn't have any oil and salt, mighty shia de dana. They would bring the cover of a barrel, the shoyle b'mayo, and they would soak in the water. The omer, and they would say, ki heich de leitzel haishia, just like this cover has become very clear and see-through because of the water, so too leitzel chami de plani by planisa. So too the wine inside this person being mishaka should also become very lucid and light. Pretty unbelievable. The Omar Ovin Barhuna Omar Avcham Barguya Mutu Lechanik b'Shabbos. If someone, literally means you're allowed to choke on Shabbos. But what it means is that if a person's vertebrae got detached, and it's kind of in his throat or in his neck, what you're allowed to do is you let it hang him by his head. They had some sort of way to hang him by his head, but they didn't actually put the rope around his neck. They adjusted. It was the old chiropractor. I'm sure it will come back into style soon. They'll have people hanging like this. And these things will be very. Then you go to your yoga. These are all very nice for the rich people. So, so you're allowed to do this on Shabbat. Okay? Now, it looked like you were choking him. That's why it's called the chanik. Now, the reason why you're allowed to do this medicine is because it never involved any sort of herbs that you might come to growing, which is the reason why the refuah is asur on Shabbat. The Amar Oven Barhuna Amar Avchama Bar Guya. He said another halacha, la pufe yinuka b'shapso shapidomi. I have to go very soon. Now, there was this swaddling of the baby. And they did it because when the baby was born, his limbs came out of place. So they would swaddle him in some sort of fashion, and they put his limbs back into place. You're allowed to do it for the same reason. Fine. Rav Papa matni banim. Now Rav Zvid matni ben. So Rav Papa taught these two teachings of Avin Bar Huna in the name of Rav Chama Bar Guya with the word banim, meaning Rav Zvid only had one. So Rav Papa matni banim. What are the two of them? V'tavei matni hu be'Avin Bar Huna. Rav Papa would teach these two teachings from Avin Bar Huna. What do we have? We had Avin Bar Huna and said in the name of Rav Chuma Bar Guya, Mutar lechanek b'Shabbat. And he said, L'pufa yunuka b'Shabbat shaper domi. So he had both of them. But the next one, the Amar only had one of them. So what were the two that Rav Papa was masni? There was masni banim about children. V'tavayu matin lo ba'Avin Bar Huna. And he would say them in the name of Avin Bar Huna in the name of Rav Chama Bar Guya. Rav Zvid matni ben kamaita matni b'shem Avin Bar Huna v'hai matna b'shem Rabbi Bar Bachana. Basically, he only had one of them in the name of Avin Bar Huna, and the second one he had in the name of Avin of Rabbi Bar Bachana. The second teaching he didn't have in the name of Avin Bar Huna, but in the name of Rabbi Bar Bachana. Okay. Omar Abaya. After these two things, by the time Rabbanim will stop. Omar the aim. All of the lachash? A lachash is called a whisper. But there's a word for it. When you whisper things to ward off witchcraft, it's called cantations. No, cantations. Is that the word you have there? To ward off witchcraft, you always have to mention the mother's name. V'chol kitri b'smala. And all types of tyings that you do have to be done on the left side. The Amar Abai Amar Li'ei, my mother said, Kol minyanan de mefarshe, all the maybe incantations. I think that's what they're called. Like whisperings to ward off things, and for refuah, kid de mefarshe. Okay? Every time you do an incantation, whatever you do, you have to do it exactly the way the instructions come, as many times as it says. But let's say it doesn't come with instructions, do it 41 times. Okay? Everybody say, go figure that out. Have a great day. Chazak Baruch.